Taylor-Canfield. How you doing?
Hey, Mark, long time. How are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Seattle, but as I was listening to you exercise your independent voice on the airwaves, which I appreciate, by the way, I was thinking I've been trying to cover this issue as an objective journalist, but I'm really glad that other options have been placed on the table in terms of Syria, because one fact that isn't being reported by the U.S. media is that there have been around 400 international demonstrations and rallies against U.S. intervention. So it's not a very popular subject, and if you look at the...
Oh, but it's popular in America, Mark. Number one, man. Number one. America number one, baby. Come on.
Exactly. Well...
Now, but around the world, but they're just heathens. They don't recognize the brilliance and the magnificence of us Americans.
Well, even the public opinion polls here in the United States shows that most Americans, whether they're on the left or the right side of the political spectrum, that most of the people in the United States are opposed to direct military intervention by the U.S. in Syria.
Because they've learned that this militarism stuff ain't easy.
Well, I could mention some countries, some nations by name: Vietnam, Korea, Panama, Grenada, Afghanistan, 2 wars in Iraq. So I think people, they've seen a lot over the last few generations. And folks, that grew up during the Vietnam era remember what that was like. And now we have a lot of veterans who can tell you stories about Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's just, my question is, do you think that the administration has finally realized that they're swimming against the tide on this issue?
Yes. And in fact, the president acknowledged it last night in his speech.
I have therefore asked the leaders of Congress to postpone a vote to authorize the use of force while we pursue this diplomatic path.
And that's because he knew he was going to get turned down for war. And look, there's some hard negotiating that is now beginning. The Secretary of State will be in Geneva tomorrow with Russia's foreign minister. The Russians are demanding that we drop any claims that we're going to attack Syria, but this is just negotiation. I mean, it's going to take time. There will be negotiations through the United Nations. Russia's going to play hardball in the negotiations. We're going to play hardball. I believe at some point, probably within the next 30 days, there will be a resolution. The United Nations will pass a resolution saying that Syria will hand over their chemical weapons. They will declare their chemical weapons. International UN inspectors will take custody of the weapons, carry them out of the country through safe passage, and there will be nothing in there about the use of force. Because, Mark, where it boils down to is America says the UN has to have in the resolution that if Syria doesn't comply, then the UN authorizes America to attack. The Russians say that's a non-starter. But what we're going to realize is we don't need that in the UN resolution. We could attack them anyway. The president was going to attack them without Congress or the UN. So I believe ultimately that will come out. There'll be nothing in the UN resolution when all the dust settles saying that the United Nations can attack. It'll simply say, Syria's going to hand it all over. Here's the timetable. They'll hand it over to the UN. The UN will be in charge of it. They'll be guaranteed safe passage, and it'll be implicit. It'll be a side agreement that the United States reserves the right to attack, but it won't be in the UN document. That will be the ultimate negotiation. But in the negotiation, Mark, you left me. I didn't hang up on you, Mark. You left me. But look, in these negotiations, that's the way it goes. There is a kabuki theater. There is a dance. There is a choreographed dance that each side starts at extreme positions, and then they work their way to the middle. All right? It's you and me the rest of the way. 1-888-321-6001, where justice is always served. The Norman Goldman Show.
Who am I?
I ask you to give me 20 minutes a day for 2 weeks, and probably not even that. 20 minutes a day for 1 week. If you can listen for an hour a day for a week, I think you'll enjoy what it is we're doing here.
This is the Norman Goldman Show.
Free nations don't develop weapons of mass destruction.
America's not the world's policeman.
From the mean streets of New York to the hills of Los Angeles, a voice is rising to serve justice.
There was no malfeasance involved.
This is the Norman Goldman Show.
Terriers and barrels everywhere. Gosh, I don't know.
The home of fierce independence, intelligent dialogue, and passionate logic is right here, right now.
If you're Muslim, you can't be free. Yeah.
America, this is the dispenser of fairness. This is the unfiltered truth. This is Norman Goldman.
Now, I've been playing a lot of that guy lately, and I'm sure you know why.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad he knows.
Absolutely.
Well, the reason is because we keep talking about war, and there was no greater warmonger than that idiot. So, we've got to talk about war, because when we're talking about war, we're really talking about peace. Another stupid thing that guy said. Well, thanks so much for being with me, as always, where justice is served. It is the Norman Goldman Show. And, you know, if you've been with us any time at all, I hope you recognize that I have been arguing and continue to argue that the entire spectrum of American politics has been wrenched and dragged far to an extreme. Now, it's football season, so let me give you the football analogy in 15 seconds. You're in a football stadium. Pick your favorite stadium. I don't care if it's the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chicago Bears, Denver Broncos. Pick your favorite stadium. A nice, just like this, we're in September, a beautiful September day. You're all alone in the stadium. And it's gorgeous. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's blue skies, 70 degrees. You're sitting in the best seat in the house, halfway up the stands at the 50-yard line. The entire field splayed out there below you. Nobody else in the stadium. You're looking out at the field, and you're on the 50-yard line. That's the world's political spectrum. The world's political spectrum. Way off to your right, down in the end zone, there's Adolf Hitler. That's fascism. Way off to your left, down in the other end zone, that's Mao Zedong and Lenin, the guy from Russia, Lenin. That's communism, okay? You got fascism way over on one side. You got communism way over on the other side. In the middle, you've got Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, right? You've got, this mixed economy kind of thing. Those European countries. Then, down on the 5-yard line, to your right is the United States of America. President Barack Obama is out at about the 20-yard line on your right. And the Republicans down on the 5-yard line, they may even be on the goal line by now, or in the end zone, are looking out to the 20-yard line saying, whoa, look how far he is out there on the field. He must be a communist. Look how far away he is. To them, the center is the 10-yard line, or the 5-yard line way over on the right. The truth of the matter is President Obama's on the 20-yard line, to the right of the 50. I'm at about the 35 or 40-yard line. You cannot be to the right of the 50-yard line if you don't believe in the concept of private property. If you believe in the private ownership of the means of production, if you believe in the private ownership of factories and farms and stores and malls and apartment buildings, if you believe that private parties should own property, then you are automatically to the right of the 50-yard line. If you believe that there should not be any private ownership of property, that the means of production, a great phrase, there's your communism right there. Communism believes in the public ownership of the means of production. The means of production, what a wonderful 3-word phrase. If you believe in the public ownership of the means of production, you're to the left of the 50-yard line. And the people who don't understand anything I just said don't understand anything about politics. And speaking of not understanding anything about politics, maybe you can explain to me how it is that the Republican Party in this nation, the Republican Party declares itself Hezbollah. They are the party of God. Now, they see a difference because they are the party of the Christian God. They are not the party of the Muslim God. But they are still Hezbollah. They are the party of God. And they hit you over the head with the Bible and say, you will obey me because I am the Lord's personal adversary. I am Jesus Christ reincarnate, and you will obey me or I will kill you in the name of love and Jesus. And yet, they go out and do everything that they rail against. They are pedophiles. They visit prostitutes. They cheat on their wives. They cheat on their children. David Vitter, Mark Sanford, Jimmy Swaggart, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker cheated their adherents. And yet, they do these tearful, I'm so sorry, I have been mendacious, and then they get forgiven, and then they get another chance. Mark Sanford's back in the House of Representatives. Last night, Anthony Weiner and Elliot Spitzer lost their bids to get back into public office. Both of them lost their bids to get back into public office. Anthony Weiner, we know all about his sexting and whatnot. I mean, we know about Anthony Weiner. And Elliot Spitzer, of course, we know that Elliot Spitzer, look.
I do the Weiner jokes around here, guys.
No. Elliot Spitzer does not do the Weiner jokes around here, guys. That's Weiner.
I do the Weiner jokes around here, guys.
All right, well, Elliot Spitzer cheated on his wife, right, with a prostitute when he was governor of New York, and he had to resign. And he didn't win. Now, the Democrats don't run around thumping the Bible and saying, I am the Lord's personal emissary and you will obey me and, do Christian Sharia law. Why is it that the Democrats, when they transgress, they can't get back into public office? The Republicans who have created that standard, when they transgress, no problem, we're back in. Maybe you can explain it to me. 1-888-321-6001. 1-888-321-6001. But Elliot Spitzer and Anthony Weiner, who
I do the Weiner jokes around here, guys,
are not getting back into public office anytime soon. Now, today, I hope you've been with me for a while here. But if not, the show opening is always free at normangoldman.com, and the first hour is always free at iHeartRadio, but that's another story. The point is, today is the 12th anniversary of the September the 11th attacks, and the president led the ceremonies today.
It is an honor to be with you here again, to remember the tragedy of 12 Septembers ago, to honor the greatness of all who responded, and to stand with those who still grieve.
Well, here we are 12 years later, and I have been asking all the show today, what have we learned? And I've been getting a lot of emails to normangoldman.com and a lot of calls to 1-888-321-6001 saying we haven't learned a darn thing. I believe we have learned a few things. Like we've learned that war ain't easy. We've learned that global empire is expensive. We've learned that invading and occupying nations doesn't always work out the way that the warmongers promised. And maybe what we have not learned is humility. We have not learned what our parents taught us when we were children: play nicely with the other children in the sandbox. We have somehow convinced ourselves that loudness, brashness, obnoxiousness is patriotism. And anybody who doesn't say, America number one, baby, yeah, Bill of Time, foam finger number one, defense, we kick your butt. I mean, that's patriotism. Somehow people have merged these things in their mind. Anybody who says, you know what, maybe we brought September the 11th on ourselves by marauding around the world, and they responded, trying to put it in context, oh, you hate America, oh, you spineless America hater, you. Why is it that being a militarist, by being a colonialist, by being a bombast, by being a warmonger, that's the only acceptable patriotism in America? I find it amazing. Now, that divides us, right? Everything I just said is very divisive. I get that. Because if the Limbaugh people are listening to this, their heads are exploding right now. Because they have been brainwashed into believing that the only thing that patriotism is warmongering and murder and occupation and subjugation and bombast. They have been brainwashed into that, and they don't have a brain to even think it through. But one thing that does bind us all together, and in fact there are many things that bind us all together, is none of us like those bailouts. I hope you remember those bailouts. We are coming up on the 5th anniversary of the bailouts. It was October 3rd, 2008, when George W. Bush, the illegal occupant of the White House, signed the bailouts. Now, this is from the International Business Times. What I'm about to tell you came from the International Business Times, which by the name ought to tell you it's not a communist, socialist, America-hating rag. The International Business Times reports that the TARP funds of $700 billion still leave a lot of money outstanding. We have not been repaid those TARP funds. In fact, $608 billion out of the $700 authorized billion in TARP funds were dispersed. $608 billion went to 936 parties. Wouldn't you love to be one of the 936 who was recipient of some of that $608 billion? Gosh, that would be nice. But it wasn't us, it was Wall Street. Well, the United States is still owed $57.8 billion 5 years later. And nobody's gone to prison, nobody's gone to jail, nobody's been arrested, nobody's been prosecuted. They got the money, they didn't have to pay it all back, and life goes on, and the banks are making record profits. Now, that's something that binds us together.
Throughout the whole day, it's like all I've been hearing is like warmongering the whole time. It's like, and there's so many flaws in their arguments. Like, I'm sitting there laughing the whole time.
I know, I've got to tell you that something has gone really far off to an extreme in America where patriotism means warmongering, where patriotism means loudmouthness, where patriotism means being rude and obnoxious and being a bully. And this, people have gotten it into their minds. If anybody dare say, you know, maybe we're doing something wrong, they're weak, they hate America, they're unpatriotic. This has infected the brains of Americans, and it's really tragic, and it's leading us into some very, very bad places.
Oh, I mean, this is not going to lead anywhere, really. It's like, it's going to be our downfall for sure.
Well, we're an empire in decline, Pano, and, you know, and Americans aren't even coming to grips with the fact that we are a global military empire, that we're spending $1 trillion a year, maintaining a global empire. We're not spending anything on ourselves.
No, exactly. It's like we could fix our own problems with all that money, honestly.
We got John Boner running around saying,
We're broke.
I mean, every other word this guy says is,
We're broke.
All I ever see this guy saying is,
We're broke.
All right, we've got schools crumbling. We've got 8,000 bridges about to fall down, including some really major arterial bridges in big metropolitan areas. I mean, we can't educate our own kids. We've got $1 trillion worth of student loan debt. I mean, we could take what we spend on the global empire for 1 year and forgive all the student loans of all the students in America and take these huge burdens off their back. I mean, our priorities are totally screwed up.
I'm a college student, too, so I'm in debt, too, right now. So, I mean, that would really help, too, like finding a job and everything, too. But instead, we're wasting our money overseas, not doing anything.
Hannah, what is it about Americans where the only acceptable discourse is America's perfect, we have the best medical system in the world, we have the best medical care, we have the best medical doctors, we have the best this, the best that, the best everything, when most of it has become a lie because for the last 30 years we've totally not taken care of ourselves while we've gone off on these huge misadventures and diverted so much of our national wealth to a global empire. I mean, why is it that the only acceptable public discussion in America is we're so perfect? And if anybody says maybe we're not so perfect, they're beaten down and shouted down and bullied down. Why is this? Please explain it to me.
I wish I knew myself, honestly, but honestly, we need some sort of period of like self-reflection. Like, what have we done to get into this situation that we are in? But I don't know, honestly. I can't answer it.
Well, Pano, you're the future of America. You're a college student, right?
Yep.
Let me suggest that you get involved. I mean, you're listening to this show and you're calling in. That tells me you care, which is a huge first step. Okay, maybe you'll be a congressman one day, a senator, president. What do you think? President Pano? It's got kind of a ring to it.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for being with us. And you can always call me anytime. 1-888-321-6001. This is what I'm talking about here. Having college students who care, who get involved, who understand the connection. The president has said he's not going to bomb the chemical weapons. I mean, by the way, just so you know, we know where 40, that's a 4 and a 0 in that order, 40 of his chemical weapons facilities are. That much has leaked out into the corporate media. We in the United Nations and the people who track this kind of stuff, we don't know where all of, I mean, he's got, Bashar Assad has secret facilities and stuff, but we know where 40 of his facilities are, our spy satellites and all the, various assets that we have and all the resources we have. So we know where a lot of his chemical weapons are, not all of them, but we're not going to bomb them because by bombing them, we'll set them off and a lot of more people will die.
Fair enough. But then, you know what? He has to do something. President Obama has to do something because if he does nothing, then we are being very hypocritical and letting those innocent people and children die in that way. And
but is it okay, Debbie, for 100,000 women and children, innocents, to die the regular way, blown to bits by rocket-propelled grenades and bombs dropped from the sky?
I thought we should have done something in Darfur. We should have done something. We should
In Rwanda, right? We should have done something in Rwanda. We should do something. So we should just invade everywhere there's the civil war going on.
Invade everywhere, but we need to intervene somehow and try to get it to stop. Because
but why us? Why China? Why does China get a free pass? Why not us? Because we're not the world's policemen.
Because we're the ones who care about, I got a pond outside in my backyard, and I watch the pond, and I watch kids. And they're not my kids, because mine are grown and moved on. But I watch them like I care about whether or not they fall in the pond, or I yell at them to get off the ice when it's cracking under their feet. I don't have to, but I care because I don't want to see them.
Well, that's not an apt analogy. I mean, you're an adult caring for children in your backyard.
Other children around the world, it is the same.
No, it's not the same. The world isn't our property.
I understand.
Those are sovereign nations, and those are sovereign people. That we don't owe them an obligation, and they don't owe us any kind of obligation to let us boss them around.
But how can we call ourselves morally high if we don't live by that?
We should stop calling ourselves morally high.
Ah, okay. So then,
because we are holding ourselves
for others and caring about other people.
We can care about other people, Debbie. We can care about other people without bombing them back to the Stone Age. We can care about them by sending the Peace Corps there, by working through international organizations to feed the poor, to bring clean water to places where there's no water, to try and bring economic development where they need economic development. There's so many ways to help nations without bombing them. I mean, the military option's the last thing we should be doing. You don't make friends by bombing people. You make friends by helping them. Debbie, I gotta run, but I invite you to call me anytime. I enjoy the repartee. 1-888-321-6001, 1-888-321-6001. There was a really interesting civics lesson that happened live in Colorado last night. I'll bring that to you in 18 minutes, but it's you and me, the whole show. 1-888-321-6001, where justice is always served. The Norm and Goldman Show.
You can get more of Norm by signing up for Beyond the Norm at normandgoldman.com. A $5 monthly payment gets you extra daily segments not done on the show, plus the entire show commercial-free. This is the Norm and Goldman Show.
America's not the world's policeman.
I think war is a dangerous place.
If you miss any part of the show, podcasting is available at normandgoldman.com.
Hi, Norman Goldman here. Thanks for being with me on normandgoldman.com, the internet stream, and I hope you're watching on the Normcam. Hi there. We launched our own radio show here on September the 8th, 2009, after spending several years as Ed Schultz's #1 sub and senior legal analyst. And a lot has happened since September 8th, 2009. Can you think of some of the things?
Gosh, I don't know.
For example, we had Obamacare, the rise of Mitt Romney.
Absolutely.
The fall of Mitt Romney.
I'm like a she lion.
The rise of the Tea Party.
We have to fight for the right to be different.
The fall of the Tea Party. John Boner as Speaker of the House.
How about a glass of Merlot?
John Boner with a foul mouth.
Chicken crap.
The House takeover in 2010 by the Republicans. Lots and lots of law.
I've had enough of it.
Many states legalizing marriage equality.
He's sending a shout-out to the homosexual lobby.
The re-election of President Obama.
He seems like a wonderful young man.
And we have really gone after guns and bullets.
How dare you?
We've dealt with revelations of a massive spying program on Americans by the American government.
I think he's a traitor.
And, of course, we've done it all with our signature sounds.
You know what horse means?
Our show is unique. We play all kinds of silly sound clips.
He's an Arab.
No, I'm not. Each day, we work through the topics that affect your life. The whole idea is to make you smarter, faster.
I've had enough of it.
And guess what? We record everything. So if you miss any of it, you can have it commercial-free, $5 a month at normandgoldman.com. You also get all of the Beyond the Norm segments in our archives.
You know it.
You want to go deeper behind the headlines? This is the place.
This is truly outrageous.
No doubt it was a very, very interesting thing to observe. So, what have we learned after 12 years? If you missed the opening of this show, it was a blockbuster, and it guarantees you that, people are going to hate my guts. And that's okay. I don't do this show to be loved. I don't do this show to be liked. I do this show to try and get you to think. I do this show because I'm not going to feed the same old nonsense that you've been fed by everybody else. I'm here to challenge your mind. And if I can spark you to think, then my mission is accomplished, and I don't even need an aircraft carrier. So, let me spark your mind some more on a different subject, and then we will come back, of course, to the questions of what we've learned and were you convinced by the president's speech. And if you missed the opening segment, incidentally, it'll be controversial, but it's free. You can have the opening segment free at normangoldman.com. It's always free. The opening segment always free, and I guarantee you it's enough to upset a lot of people. We already had a couple of calls here today being upset with what I said. 1-888-321-6001. You don't have to call if you're upset. You can just call 1-888-321-6001. What have we learned in 12 years? I believe that we should have learned to be more humble. We should learn to bring in the global military empire. We should learn that what we call terrorism is actually blowback. It is those who don't have cruise missiles and nuclear submarines and gigantic aircraft carriers and nuclear bombs. It's their way of getting back at us. That's terrorism. It's blowback. We go stomping and tromping around the world, and then they respond as they can, and we say, oh, terrorists, we got to ramp up even more. Last night in Colorado, there was an election.
Both senators were targeted for supporting new Colorado gun control laws that limit magazine size to 15 rounds and require background checks even for private sale.
That is Barry Peterson of CBS News, and we thank CBS. I mean, how can you say what you're saying? You're living in an unreal world.
That would fit in with leftist ideology.
No. Don't call names. Don't call names. Don't stop. No. You're blinding yourself.
We are what they are.
No, you're an idiot. See, that's calling names. Yes, of course you're an imbecile. You don't know anything. You're brainwashed. How is it that you can actually believe this stuff? Dude, please. Either you've been put up to this. Now, look, I know jobs are hard to find. Either you're getting paid by the word to call me in and rattle off that claptrap, or you just really are an idiot. Now, you call me up and you give me conclusions. Let's do some analysis here, okay? You say President Obama is deconstructing America. That's a conclusion. What you've got to do is have facts at your command. You're the kind of guy, what you just did is chant bumper stickers, and you equate that. It's the equal sign again. Bumper sticker equals thinking. You say, President Obama is deconstructing America. President Obama said, get even. You have been mentally brainwashed to chant slogans, and you think that a slogan is analysis. A slogan is a slogan. Well, let me give you another slogan for you to chant. Polly want a cracker, because that's what you did. You just parrot this nonsense. You have no depth. You have no understanding of anything. You have no facts at your command. America is falling apart at the seams because we've diverted a huge amount of our national wealth to a global military empire. Now, those are facts. $1 trillion a year. I gave you facts. You gave me talking points. Go grow a brain. Call me when you've got one. We're right back with more Civics where justice is served. About a year ago, the United Nations created a 4-member panel called a Commission of Inquiry. This is a United Nations panel. On Monday, they will be presenting their findings to the United Nations on Syria. And this 4-member Commission of Inquiry said that both sides in the Syrian civil war have committed war atrocities. They have committed rape. They have committed torture. They have committed indiscriminate murder. They've done it with impunity. Now, they also say the government has done more than the rebels, but they said the rebels have done a bunch of this too. And all of that happened without any chemical weapons being used. In fact, this Commission of Inquiry said, whole towns have been depopulated. All kinds of horrible things have been done by all sides in the Syrian civil war. My question to you is, why is it that we're getting in the middle of this?
Throughout the whole day, it's like all I've been hearing is like warmongering the whole time. It's like, and there's so many flaws in their arguments. Like, I'm sitting there laughing the whole time.
Pano, I've got to tell you that something has gone really far off to an extreme in America where patriotism means warmongering, where patriotism means loudmouthness, where patriotism means being rude and obnoxious and being a bully. And this, people have gotten it into their minds. If anybody dare say, maybe we're doing something wrong, they're weak, they hate America, they're unpatriotic. This has infected the brains of Americans, and it's really tragic, and it's leading us into some very, very bad places.
Oh, I mean, this is not going to lead anywhere, really. It's going to be our downfall for sure.
Well, we're an empire in decline, Pano, and Americans aren't even coming to grips with the fact that we are a global military empire, that we're spending $1 trillion a year maintaining a global empire. We're not spending anything on ourselves.
No, exactly. It's like we could fix our own problems with all that money, honestly.
We got John Boner running around saying,
we're broke.
I mean, every other word this guy says is,
we're broke.
All I ever see this guy saying is,
we're broke.
All right, we've got schools crumbling. We've got 8,000 bridges about to fall down, including some really major arterial bridges in big metropolitan areas. I mean, we can't educate our own kids. We've got $1 trillion worth of student loan debt. I mean, we could take what we spend on the global empire for 1 year and forgive all the student loans of all the students in America and take these huge burdens off their back. I mean, our priorities are totally screwed up.
I'm a college student, too, so I'm in debt, too, right now. So, I mean, that would really help, too, like finding a job and everything, too. But instead, we're wasting our money overseas, not doing anything.
Hannah, what is it about Americans where the only acceptable discourse is America's perfect, we have the best medical system in the world, we have the best medical care, we have the best medical doctors, we have the best this, the best that, the best everything, when most of it has become a lie because for the last 30 years we've totally not taken care of ourselves while we've gone off on these huge misadventures and diverted so much of our national wealth to a global empire. I mean, why is it that the only acceptable public discussion in America is we're so perfect? And if anybody says maybe we're not so perfect, they're beaten down and shouted down and bullied down. Why is this? Please explain it to me.
I wish I knew myself, honestly, but honestly, we need some sort of period of self-reflection. Like, what have we done to get into the situation that we are in? But I don't know, honestly. I can't answer it.
Well, Pano, you're the future of America. You're a college student, right?
Yep.
Let me suggest that you get involved. I mean, you're listening to this show and you're calling in. That tells me you care, which is a huge first step. Okay, maybe you'll be a congressman one day, a senator, president. What do you think? President Pano? It's got kind of a ring to it.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for being with us. And you can always call me anytime. 1-888-321-6001. This is what I'm talking about here. Having college students who care, who get involved, who understand the connection. It's in the Justice for You blog at normangoldman.com. It is an article from the Los Angeles Times on their website right now showing that the income gap between rich and poor in America is the worst it's been in a century. So we're back to the bad old days. And so if you want to take a look at our Facebook page, The Norman Goldman Show, or our blog at normangoldman.com, or check me out at Twitter at Norman Goldman. And we seem to have had a spike in Twitter followers lately, so I'm introducing myself specifically to our Twitter friends at Norman Goldman. But I've got more about this story in 1/2 hour. And, we'll talk a little about income inequality. But today is the 12th anniversary of September the 11th, 2001. I asked, what have we learned? And I'm getting a lot of email to Norm at normangoldman.com saying, Norm, what have we not learned? That's an interesting take on that.
So important. I mean, I just don't know what to tell people. Listen.
This is the Norman Goldman Show.
They expect us to come here and to be honest with each other.
I totally agree with you about that.
America's not a hockey game. I mean, the world's not a hockey game where we run around saying, we won the Stanley Cup, yeah, we beat you, but, I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is childish.
Yeah, and actually that kind of behavior is rather embarrassing to some of the people that actually think for a living, And
a lot of people around the world consider it rather obnoxious. And they want to respond and say, I'm going to teach you boys a lesson.
Exactly. And what I think it is that people are spoiled, here in this country, and we always need a boogeyman. Either a direct threat or an indirect threat, either imaginary or real.
Well, it used to be communism. I mean, it's always an ism, right? It was communism, then it's terrorism. I mean, it's always, you got to keep people in fear.
Right. Well, we can go back to saying the first ism is devil, heaven and hell, that kind of ism. We always have to have something to fear, and we're brainwashed to actually buy into this crap.
Well, it used to be there's a communist under every bed. Now there's a terrorist under every bed. Right. And it's always, you need to be afraid. Lock yourselves in your homes. Get a security system. Always, get a gun. Arm yourself. You are afraid all the time. And this kind of stuff really grates on people, and they live in fear, but they simultaneously have been told to run around pounding their chests like King Kong and Tarzan. America, #1, baby! And Bruce, what really concerns me is that in the public discourse, the only acceptable position is America's perfect, America's the best in everything, and anyone who says otherwise is unpatriotic. This thing has gotten subliminally into Americans' brains, so simultaneously we're afraid of the communists, we're afraid of the terrorists, be afraid, but on the other hand, run around bombastically saying we are perfect and wonderful and don't you dare say anything otherwise, and the world is our oyster and we get to go anywhere and take anybody's resources and invade anyone's countries. I mean, heaven forbid anyone should invade the United States. We'd get rather offended, but we don't do what the president said.
Put yourself in their shoes. Look at the world through their eyes.
All right, Bruce, what's the future hold? Are we going to learn any lessons?
I doubt it, because what you've just said, Norm, is being afraid. First it was communism, and it's socialism with this president. You gotta remember that he's a socialist, But
I forgot that part. He's
but actually, what it is it's fascism.
We are entering a period of fascism. Fascism, my definition, Bruce, is the merger of big business and big government. What is your definition?
Fascism will arrive wrapped in the flag carrying a Bible.
There you go, Sarah Palin. That's all right.
We're broke.
There you go. Bruce, I got to run, but I appreciate the call very much. You're a very smart man. It's nice to know you're not alone. And one of the things I want to do here is to let you know, if you are thinking these same thoughts or some of them, you are not alone. And it's not just me. There's many millions of us out here. We are being marginalized. We're being kept out of the public debate. But we are here, and we are smart, and we are patriotic. We are America. They are not. And you got to have the kind of the backbone to stand up and say, you guys, as loud and obnoxious and as bad breath as you have, and as much as you're sticking your bad breath up my nostrils, and as loud and bombastic and stupid and bullying that you are, I'm the real America. You guys are fascists. It's my country, and I'm taking it back. You've got to have that kind of self-confidence, and you got to be willing to stand up and say it. And you got to be willing to fight for it. This is where fierce independence is the norm. You're straight ahead, where justice is served. The Norm and Goldman Show.
Yes, he likes Hello Kitty and teddy bears, and he's man enough to admit it. Norman.
I'm not the strapping young Muslim socialist that I used to be.
He's an Arab.
Definitely not.